The Simone Feiler podcast, giving authors a platform. Welcome to the podcast.
G'day there, Simone Feiler. Today I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome two fearless storytellers, David MacIntosh and Sumara Meers. David penned the riveting medical thriller originally titled Trust in the Tribe, but soon to be released as an audiobook as Where Is My Effin' Leg? A raw, no-holds-barred look behind the doors of a Cairns hospital's orthopaedic surgery unit where lives, ethics and relationships collide under relentless pressure. And Sumara, with her warm, authentic Aussie voice, brings these complex, flawed, deeply human characters to life in David's audiobook. Together, we're diving into the grit, the heartbreak, and the bond that binds healers when everything threatens to fall apart. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
My pleasure. It's lovely to have you both here. It's 2:30 Brisbane time and you guys are in different parts of Australia as well. David, whereabouts are you?
I'm in Melbourne.
Okay, not chilly down there today? Windy? Raining?
Oh, it's a lovely day. Actually, I'm just outside Melbourne on Phillip Island, but it's a beautiful day.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome. And you, Samara?
I'm in the central west of New South Wales in a tiny little town called Woodstock. And it's stinking hot today. It's gross. Yeah. So it's much nicer in here, in the inside.
Yeah, in the AC.
Yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, how did you find narrating David's amazing book, Samara?
It was a really interesting book. I was really excited to get the chance to do it because as a voice-over artist in other genres, I've specialised in medical narration, like videos for medical topics and pharmaceutical training and all that sort of thing. So I just really enjoy, I don't know what that says about me, but I really enjoy medical stories. And I enjoyed learning how to pronounce all the different words. I got one of the key joints of the hip very wrong the first time round, as you know, and had to redo it. But yeah, I really enjoy medical stories, and this book is full of such interesting characters as well. All different ages, which is really nice because sometimes in stories everyone's kind of the same, age, same kind of demographic. So it's a really good cast of characters, and I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Bringing them to life. You did a beautiful job. So, David, how did you find your characters being brought to life in Samara's voice? How was that for you? Because it's the first time you've heard them, right?
Yes, it was. I thought she was extremely good and was very able to differentiate them. I thought Ted, who's sort of a bit like me, sounded a little bit pompous and British, but otherwise, and that's how I am. So if she is, she's done well. Yes.
Awesome. So you gave away a bit of a secret there, huh? Ted, right? So what was yeah, right? So what was the catalyst for writing the book, David?
Oh, I did a PhD in ethics many years ago, and I got quite interested in trust. And then I wrote a fairly formal book on trust and betrayal, and it didn't do very well at all. And when I reread it, I understand why. But my daughter suggested to me that I write about characters, the stories I tell. And I couldn't do that without turning it into fiction. When I say it's Ted's my voice, it is Ted my voice, but he's pretty much a fictional character, but does rely very much on my experiences.
And the book poses the question, is medicine just a technical profession or a vocation that demands we remain human under enormous pressure, right? What do you hope the book says about that tension, and why do you think it matters so much now since you've released it now?
I think it matters because I see medicine changing and becoming much more related to somebody sitting at a computer and talking to it. Though I might improve that because then it can record what you're saying. But I think in many ways we've lost. Once a nurse told me once years ago that nursing lost something when they stopped washing patients, because that's when you get an intimate relationship and you can talk to them. Now, I don't wash patients, but being able to sit with them and talk, I think is a very important part of the relationship.
Yeah, for sure. How did you get into the profession? What was the spark that made you want to get into it in the first place?
Oh, my mother was a great influence, though I tried to avoid it.
On your mum, you did a good job.
She was a nurse and wanted one of her sons to be a doctor, and I was the last one left, so I sort of gave in and said, okay, I'll do it. I always liked English and literature, but I was good at science. So I eventually decided, and I've struggled in the first few years, but once I got to teaching hospital where I actually dealt with patients, it blossomed and I loved it then afterwards.
So the story set in Cairns, at the Cairns Hospital there, is tell us about that.
I, for a whole lot of complex reasons, went up to Cairns at the end of my career because I wanted to do teaching and I wanted to go somewhere different. And I really liked it up there because it's a much more personal hospital to work in. You work in a big hospital, big public hospital, then you don't have the same relationships as you do with your colleagues or with the patients. And it's more interesting anyway. So I stayed there for quite a few years, but then I was sucked back down to the south because I wanted to have more time with my children and grandchildren, basically.
So, Samara, when you first read the manuscript, obviously the process was that I sent David a few voice talents to narrate the book, and David selected you. What was your first initial thought when you read the manuscript about the actual characters, and tell us a little bit about that process?
So my approach with characters is just to read as much of the manuscript as I get, so that I can approach the character from a character, from the internal kind of acting of the character. And so I like to let them kind of reveal themselves, the characters, as I go through the book. They will sort of. And it's not just in the dialogue that they say, but in the descriptions of them and their interactions with the other characters and things. They'll sort of, I don't know, reveal themselves to me. And I've heard authors say that the characters tend to reveal themselves as well. But David was saying earlier with the character of Ted, who he thought sounded a bit posher and more British than he would have liked. But that's how he came across to me in the manuscript, and especially with with knowing that he was from Melbourne originally. That's kind of, I don't know, maybe that's just how I see Melbourne people, but I feel like they're definitely posher than Cairns people, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I don't know. So that's how that kind of became that particular character. And, the same thing with other characters. And so when I'm doing the initial, the first sample to show you and David, I prefer to be fairly quick and casual about it, because I want them to be coming out genuinely. I don't want to think too much about what would this character sound like or what particular kind of accent would they have. I just want to do what feels right for that character, because then I find later on in the process it just all works more easily and smoothly because I haven't forced anything. So I think that's kind of my approach to the initial building of the characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, David, when you heard all the demos, what was it about Samara's voice that you thought, yeah, that's the girl?
Oh, all the demos were good, but I thought she just had, as she says, a little bit of extra understanding of the character, really.
Mm.
And I'll just get back to one point, how she reads it just by reading it. I get the characters by, I thought of one character, which wasn't me, and basically did the first scene with her. And then once that happened, I started to put the characters as they developed, as they came in a room together, and got them to talk. And it was through their talking that I got to know them.
Yeah.
Did you base your characters on anyone you know or people that you might have worked with?
Not really. Bits of characters I've worked with. I tried very hard not to sound like any of them, though I know because a friend of mine immediately called me Ted when she read the book, but she knew me very well, and he's the only one who really has a character like mine.
Right. The book exposes some confronting behaviour. There's arrogance, mistakes, obviously, emotional collapse, anger, even moral failure. Do you worry that some readers or listeners might interpret this as reinforcing negative stereotypes about surgeons, or did you feel it was time to drop the facade and show the truth about what goes on, warts and all?
Well, it's fiction, and it's also a story.
Yeah.
So you've got to make a story interesting, and also you've got to
True.
bring some passion and emotion into it. So that's all condensed down. My normal day wouldn't be like that. But virtually everything I describe has occurred that I'm aware of or saw myself.
Mm.
I think the book does a good job of catching that, like the humanness of, because obviously everyday people who just go to the doctor or whatever, you kind of get this idea from society that doctors and surgeons especially are better than you, or they're like, on some kind of other level because they're so smart and they know and they can, and they
And they're
hold life
taking
and
your...
death in their hands.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is, even though academically you might know that they're just another human being, it is sometimes hard to remember that. And so, yeah, a story where doctors just do something really stupid or they say some really silly thing that just you think, oh, yeah, they're just, that's something I would say. Or, yeah, I would struggle with that weird topic. I think it's good to humanize.
Do you think that's what makes them really relatable and, like, to a broad audience? It's not just a medical. I mean, there's a lot of operations and medical stuff throughout the whole book as well. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do a surgery just yet, David, though, right? But it's got broad appeal, I think, because of the stories and yeah, the relationships between the characters.
Yeah, and they don't just have medical problems either. They have they're whole human beings with relationship problems and falling in love and not knowing what to do and, estranged from family members and so many things that are just human and remind you that even, people who have been very smart and working as a surgeon and top of their field for 30 years are still just sometimes a bit of an idiot or whatever,
Yeah. Just human, you mean?
That describes me pretty well. I was a boy from outer suburban Melbourne and from relatively poor circumstances. So I grew up as a normal person, and then I entered this new world. So you don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Do
I
you mean
imagine
them?
you would have people sort of looking up to you like that, and it must feel strange. Some people thinking that you're sort of superhuman because you can do such clever things with surgery or whatever. That might feel a bit weird.
It does feel weird, and when sometimes when you get introduced to somebody and they find out what you do, the whole relationship changes. And I don't like that all that much, though it makes me feel sort of a bit smug. But I don't think that's really how I like to relate to people.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you didn't put Dr. David MacIntosh? Is
Yeah,
that why?
yes, I'd never do that. I'm just an
Okay.
ordinary guy. I'm just a kid from not the bush, but from the suburbs.
Mm.
Yeah.
And your mum must have been very proud, I guess, if you decided to, take her advice and go along the path doing her favourite vocation for you.
Yes, she was. Yes. Um,
And your brothers and sisters, were they like, seriously?
Now I'm the youngest of three boys, and I'm not sure what they thought about it, but that didn't surprise them, I'm sure.
Oh. And so are there any other books on the horizon, David?
um, I've while I was doing this, I rewrote the first book that I wrote, which was a failure, and tried to make it simpler and easier to understand, but left the stories in because basically that's the theoretical background to the book. The book is really about trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just put people in situations where they needed to trust each other, and sometimes there's betrayals.
Mm.
And that's life.
So the title of the book, when you released it earlier in the year, the actual printed book is Trust in the Tribe, and the cover is, someone in the hospital bed holding hands. The focal point is the holding of the hands on the hospital bed. Um, Obviously, because it's a lot. I can imagine you, being a surgeon, you would be going through high emotions up and down given whatever surgery was taking place. I mean, it's high risk, the whole thing. But you have done, I don't know whether it's a 180 or whatever that is, but you are changing the title to your to your audio book from Trust in the Tribe to Where is my effing leg? So tell me about the name change and how that came about.
Well, it wasn't my idea. It was only recent I went out to my daughter's place for dinner, and when I wasn't, and she brought the book up because she's read it, and some bits made her cry. Um, but and that's what Samara does so well. I think she's terrific at that. Um, and then I went out of the room down the corridor and came back only a few minutes later, and my grandson and she had come together and they produced this title. And the reason is that my original title doesn't really describe what goes on in the book, and neither really does the new title. But they're quite convinced that the new title and the way the book looks will get much more likely to get somebody to pick it up and read it.
So, are you going to change the cover of your printed book to suit?
Yes, I am. I'm going to have to redo it.
Rework it.
Yeah.
And so is that the main reason that you think the change in the title is to grab people's attention, to see the cover and say that looks good, that's interesting?
Yes, because they weren't doing it with the first title.
Yeah.
He was at all interested when I first put it up.
I think it definitely does kind of cover what the book is about. Like, obviously not entirely, but it at least gets you. Like, if I saw "Where's my effing leg," I would think someone's chopped my leg off, which which I can absolutely imagine people saying when they wake up from surgery, they've had an accident or something. Like, I imagine a lot of people have said exactly that, and that's So it does describe the book, I think, and there is one character in the book who has to, I think his wife has to approve of the surgery or something like that. But either way, he wakes up with his leg gone, and that's.
What did you think? What did you think of the new cover when you saw it, Samara, as compared to the first title, Trust in the Tribe?
Well, as a comparison, it was quite startling because it's such a the Trust in the Tribe is very gentle kind of wording and imagery, and then Where's my effing leg is in your face.
Yeah.
And so it was quite a sort of I don't know, had to go through a transition in my head to get my head around it, but I really liked it after I looked at it for a
After you got it, I felt the same. It was like, what?
yeah and very
Okay.
eye-catching, and like it makes you go, oh, hang on,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who do you want to read the book, David?
Well,
Apart from everybody, of course.
everything. Well, I originally thought the people most likely to read it were middle-aged women. But having
It's
had
got a
some
bit of
young,
sauce in there, hasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
but a number of younger women have read it, said they really liked it. I haven't tried it out on many men because men don't read so much nowadays. That's one of the reasons of doing an audiobook, because lots of people don't read like we used to, but they wander around with things over their ears and listen to.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's a growing market. I think, especially under the 35-year-olds, they're apparently not reading at all anymore. So they're listening while they're commuting and, doing their exercising and whatnot. But yeah, you've got it in print, you've got it in ebook, and you've also got an audiobook. So it covers all the markets. So everyone has, no matter how they consume their books, they can get it. Well, it's just about out there. We were just about to hit go, and now where's my leg? Where's my effing leg? Yeah. So, but it's not too far away from being out there and available. So,
Yay.
yeah, that's exciting. So, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Have you guys got a favourite character in the book?
Yeah, my favourite character is Sophie, the young woman. And I thought, oh, you could write a book about her, but I don't think I could write a book about her because she's just too far away. I know Sophie's and I much admire them, but I'm not sure I could write what's actually going on in their heads.
Good. I'm glad you say that, because there are too many older men who think they can write books about young women and they don't really know what they're doing. My favourite character, I think, is Judith because of because she's tough, and I really like how straightforward and tough and straightforward. I really like that.
Strong. I
aspire to
agree.
that.
I loved her as well. Yeah, definitely. So what are you guys reading?
Right now I am reading, I'm reading Scrublands by Chris Hammer at the moment. I'm going through a bit of a Chris Hammer binge phase. This is about my fifth
eating them up.
Yeah. Yep. Because I'm having a good, like, just fiction binge, forget the real world kind of moment.
Do you, and when you're listening, do you like how is it for you being a voice actress, that, like, do you get tips, or do you think, oh, they could have done that better? How do you work while you're listening?
I do. I actually don't listen to very many audiobooks because I find I just am listening to the narration instead of actually hearing the story. So I don't listen to very many. When I do, I think, oh, that was an interesting place to leave in a breath, or that was an interesting voice, or why did they do that? So mainly I still read with written words.
With your eyes?
Yeah.
What about you, David? What are you reading at the moment?
Well, funnily enough, what I'm actually reading at the moment is Jane Austen's Persuasion.
Nice.
I've read it quite a few times, and every time you read a good book, it's different. But the last one I did was The Outsider by Camus, which is one of my favourite books. So they're totally different. Yes.
I agree with that. When you read a really good book and you read it a couple of times, or even with TV shows, or you find new stuff in there every time you re-listen or rewatch or whatever it is. So that's so true.
Yeah.
So can people reach out and find you anywhere, David, and chat with you about your stories? What's the deal? How do they connect with you?
They can find me on Substack, and also I've got a website now.
Okay. And that's davidmacintosh.com?
davidmacintosh.com.au.
And that'll be up very soon. I know it actually is up, isn't it?
It's up now, yes.
Yeah. And we'll get the audiobook up on there very soon as well. So hopefully within a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
As soon as we've got Sumara to voice the cover and the cover artwork's finished. But maybe we shouldn't talk about the shop that, online on the podcast.
Okay, all right.
That's for behind the scenes. What about you, Samara? I mean, obviously you want to lend out your talents to reading audiobooks. How can people find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere. Just search for Sumara Meers on most of the socials, or samarameers.com is my website. So, yeah, easy peasy, and you can email me or message me anywhere. I'm very easy to find.
Sensational. Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's great. It's our first time working together, Samara, on David's audiobook. So I'm glad we had that opportunity, and you did a great job. Obviously, I always get incredibly stoked and happy when my author is happy with their book, and by all accounts, David's really satisfied with what you've done.
Indeed. I think she's terrific.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much. It's been an honour, David. Thank you. I really appreciate the chance to help tell your stories.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I really appreciate the fact that you picked me to do your audiobook with David. It's been a pleasure working with you. I love your story, and also, having a chat with you along the way, because there were, a few questions we needed to clarify between one another about the pronunciations and whatnot. And yeah, it's been a delight. You're a very charming gentleman, and your story's awesome. And maybe you can write that story about Sophie. Never say never, right? All right. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me today on the Simone Feiler podcast. And if you want to contact these guys, their details are below. Please remember to like the video, share to people that might be interested in the story or need a voice talent in Samara. And please subscribe to my podcast channel so that people can hear these stories from other authors and David that I chat with. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the Simone Feiler podcast. What's your story? Contact Simone for a chat at brisbaneaudiobookproduction.com.